The motion graphics process can be very asset intensive, and keeping your projects organized is a really important part of being a motion graphics artist. Now, I've included a project template in the project files. We're not using the project template in the course of the exercises for this video series, but it's an incredible asset for organizing your files in the future when you're working on other projects. I'm going to open this up and go through some of the elements. Now, the project template folder has a series of subfolders in it that has a place for every kind of asset that you might use for a motion graphics project. Concept art. This is where you generate your storyboard elements and initial phases of the design process. And then once you get into production, there's a folder for Photoshop elements and Illustrator elements and your C4D files. And there's also a template in there that has a 16:9 camera with a 4:3 safe overlay on it for use in your broadcast-oriented projects. There's also an After Effects folder that has an After Effects starter file in it. And this After Effects starter file you can double-click on, depending on what version of After Effects you're working with. In CS5, you'll get this error message, and that's because this file was generated with an earlier version of After Effects. So just hit OK. Nothing will be harmed. And in that project file are folders that are very similar to the layout of the Finder. And these help keep your After Effects project really organized. There's also folders for your pre-renders that come out of both After Effects and Cinema 4D. And also anything you might export from your editing software. I use Final Cut Pro, but this could be any editing software, Avid or Premiere Pro. It doesn't really matter. It's just a place for things that come out of that editing software. Any QTs, QuickTime movies that you might get from a client or from downloaded off a website, those would go into this folder. Folder 7 is for reference movies that you might download off the web. Let's say you're modeling a cell phone, for example. You might download reference images of that cell phone off the internet, and you can store those reference images in this folder. The client art folder is for anything you might receive from your client. Audio is for audio files. You could receive those from an audio engineer, or they could be audio files that you generate yourself. They go in this folder. Folder 10 is for edit project files. Now, I use Final Cut Pro, but once again, it could be for any editing software, Avid or Premiere Pro. It doesn't really matter. It's just where you put your edit files. I've also included a guide in case you forget where things are. If you open up this JPEG, it shows you how to use this project template. Once again, we won't be using this project template for this video series, but it's a really great resource for your future projects.